opportunity to meet a woman who went from what she felt was an unfulfilling career in corporate America to becoming the very first meditation and yoga coach on Rikers Island. Oneika Mays works one-on-one with inmates. She focuses on resilience and compassion. I sat down with Oneika to talk about that and a whole lot more. Oneika, it's so good to have you with us here. You know, we did a lot of talking before we even sat down. We connected a lot. And before we even get to the point of you becoming the first mindfulness coach on Rikers Island, I want to know your journey to getting there, because you were in corporate America.
I was.
And you left.
I did. And it's not a leap that I would actually recommend. I kind of just quit and walked away. And actually, this is the first time that I'm saying this out loud. I had said that I got fired because I think I was too afraid to admit that I didn't like the life that I was living. I had everything on the outside. I was making a decent salary. I had a great apartment, and I had a life that felt really full materially, but spiritually I felt a little bankrupt.
There are a lot of people who are feeling like you now. They call it the Great Resignation.
Yes.
People are leaving their jobs in droves and trying to find themselves and what makes them happy while they're working. What advice do you have for people like that? Because there's so many who are going to be watching this and thinking, I want to make that move too.
You know, I think you first just have to admit that you are truly unhappy with what you're doing. And the first thing that you can do before making a change is to start to make friends with yourself. You may find that the job that you're in actually isn't too bad, but your relationship with yourself and the way you connect with the job that you're doing is actually the issue. So going inside is the first step, and then you may decide, you know what, I am ready to take a leap. I am ready to sort of maybe make changes in my life and make some adjustments with what I think I need versus what I actually need.
Yeah.
If you want to take a job that's not making as much as you were making before, but the conversation starts here first.
What was the feeling inside? Because a lot of people will say, oh, that was just such a bold move, but there has to be some fear.
There was a lot of fear. You know, the big switch, I'll never forget. I was in a yoga class in New York City, and in Manhattan, actually. I lived in Jersey City at the time, but I'm in New York, and I'm in this hot yoga class. It's over 100 degrees, 60 sweaty bodies. This is pre-pandemic, so, you know, we were all okay with that thing then. And I was sitting in this pose, and my arms were extended, and I'm sitting really low, and the teacher says, you can either change or be comfortable, but you can't do both things at the same time. I burst out into tears in the middle of the class, and I realized, okay, I'm going to learn how to be uncomfortable because I can't stay like this anymore. That was the shift. When you can learn to be uncomfortable and gracious with yourself in those really scary moments, that's when you can make the change.
Well, speaking of yoga, as I mentioned, you are the first mindfulness
I'm a yoga teacher, right?
Right, coach on Rikers Island. How do you help the inmates feel centered and stay centered?
Well, when I'm working with people who are incarcerated on the island, it's really, I work one-on-one, and I think it's about creating space for people to have the conversations with themselves that they need to have. I can't have expectations about outcome. What I do is allow people to sit and breathe. Sometimes it's yoga, sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's mindful conversation, but it's not really different than the work that I do outside. It's sitting with somebody like Rochelle. I'd sit with you and say, okay, let's just talk for a little bit about anxiety and about sleep and how are you sleeping and what does that feel like, and then showing you some techniques, whether it's about learning how to take a deep breath, whether it's really allowing yourself to be comfortable with the fact that you have a lot of things going on in your mind. There's a lot that happens when you're incarcerated, that whole disconnection from family, from your job if you were working. It's really scary.
How did you get the job on Rikers?
I had been volunteering there for a long time with another organization, and when they did this pilot program, they asked me if I would be interested in interviewing, and I jumped at the chance. It's a dream job for a meditation teacher to be able to teach full-time and do this work. So it's a blessing for me.
Yeah, big change. Oneika's story does not end there. We have so much to talk about. Tomorrow we will have part 2 of our conversation where she tells us more about her experience on Rikers Island. You certainly don't want to miss that. We also have a programming note. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. watch Fighting for Fairness, 50 years of Title IX. This